I got you, yes. I'm sorry. No, thank you. Yeah, she'll be coming. They're coming. Thank you. Oh. How are you, sir? Good seeing you. All right. Okay. How are you? Stranger, how you doing? Are you good? Good to see you. Good? Oh, yeah. How about you? All right.
Sounds like our branch. Hello, young lady. Hi. How are you? Thank you.
Thank you. And that happens to be staged.
Nikki, are you first?
I am. I know. You think they see the best
Yes,
for
sir.
last,
No,
but they don't.
let's get it over with, man. Let's go.
My team might be a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
Baby. Oh, you, okay. So, hello. Thank you.
I'm not asking about him, please.
Wow. That's me. That is me. Good seeing you.
Okay, let's go with here on budget. Yeah. Well, we got to get used to the new way.
Change things around a little bit.
Or that just gives this little enemy something to talk about. They'll start making jokes. Oh, I feel dizzy, Rob. Just sit still. I think it's my...
Take a deep breath.
Jennifer, how you doing? Oh, I know I'm all right. I ain't gonna let him start, but I
528 microphones are hot.
No, my stomach's upset. That's all. I'll do this and just chill. Sleep on y'all. I think that cold water might have bothered you.
I had to really work with it. Jobs here.
They didn't, yeah. Looks like my windows at home when I do them. Streaky.
Yeah. A little bit. Oh, yours isn't as bad.
Yeah, well, look, somebody cleaned it, but it's like it's all residue. I don't know. They didn't use newspaper, old-fashioned newspapers.
No, they did not. Coffee filter.
Oh, yeah, he's
Oh, coffee from, yeah.
Tricks.
But it's 5:29.
Hi, Joanna, how are you?
That's what I'm saying. So what they doing? Purges and they should be here. You make it worse if you stay. It really shows, baby. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because Carlson will do it next. Tell him to sit down, Carlson.
We're ready in about 10 seconds.
Run into the bathroom real quick. They ain't gonna make it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I call the Springfield Budget Workshop today, Thursday, January 16th, 2025, to order. If you will all rise and please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Madam Clerk, will you take the roll, please?
Yes. Alderman Gregory.
Here.
Alderman Williams.
Here.
Alderman Rockford.
Here.
Alderwoman Purchase.
She like she was on the phone.
Alderwoman Notariano.
Here.
Alderman Carlson.
Here.
Alderwoman Conley.
Present.
Alderman Donelan.
Here.
Alderman Hanauer.
Here.
Chair Donelan, a quorum is present.
Thank you very much. Tonight, we will hear from the following departments for our budget presentations. We will hear first from Human Resources, second from the Office of Planning and Economic Development, third, OBM, Office of Budget Management, and finally, Public Works. And on that note, Director, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I was surprised that we were first because I was telling Alderman Rockford I was sure they'd save the best for last.
There you go.
We're just letting you set the bar.
I don't think you want to be
Dang,
behind
I
Public
think
Works.
I can only take this joke so far. Well, hello, alderpersons and Mayor Busher. I am Nikki Baker. I am the Director of the Office of Human Resources, and I have a lot of my team with me. We are glad to present our budget proposal for fiscal year 26. So when you look at the budget structure for HR, we are divided among 4 primary activities. The administration, which is where recruiting and the bulk of our people and our services are located. We also support the Civil Service Commission, and then we have our benefits activities and our labor relations. Our workforce has stayed pretty steady. There was a dip during COVID, and then last year we asked and added labor relations and moved that responsibility in person from Corporation Counsel over into the HR department, and we are keeping that request level. This is our structure. I'm going to talk briefly about what they do, and if the people who are responsible for that could just wave their hand, that would be great. First, Labor Relations Manager Nick Corral reports and handles all of the labor relations, the negotiations, the questions, the grievances, and also supports me with employment law. Our benefits manager is not here. Kelly Martin is our senior manager. She joined us in October when Brooke Jones finally retired. It was a sad day for us, but we're very excited that Kelly is with us. She is supported by 2 benefits specialists, Sarah Taylor, who is a long-term HR staff member, and LaShonda Crawford. Now, I do have to say that LaShonda is often misrecognized as Alderwoman Purchase. I did not realize this until we were at
Sisters, oh my God.
We were at Build Springfield, and LaShonda had only been with us for just a few weeks, and a gentleman made a beeline and just ignored all the rest of us to say, I wanted to introduce myself to you, and then turned around and made a beeline and left, and all of us looked and said, well, we're here. And so she has received some accolades that were due you, but she took a couple complaints, and I'm hoping she's handling them. Isaac Edwards, as the HR manager, is responsible for our systems and support. He has an HR generalist, Sharanya Cachetti, and then 2 personnel techs. So we have Alexis Morris and Amanda Woods. They handle all of those administrative tasks that support the entire HR department. Our learning and development specialist is behind me. Joan Egan has not even met the mayor yet. He is finishing his 2nd week of employment. And then we've got Kim Homeyer. She is project manager. We are moving that title to senior business manager. She is the longest tenured employee. She will be with the city 25 years in May. And she is responsible and handles all of the elements related to police and fire testing. She supports all of the budget items within the Human Resource Department and is our primary timekeeper. We have 2 HR specialists, Chrissy Brown, and are they waving behind me? and Jessica Shepard. And they have been HR specialists. We talked about that we're moving to a business partnership, so their focus has been on hiring and recruiting, and we are expanding that. I had a predecessor who had the viewpoint that HR was not responsible for some of the recruiting and that belonged with the agency. I have a different viewpoint. So Chrissy and Jessica have been working to enhance those recruitment activities and build relationships. And then we're expanding so that they can become a more complete resource for our agency management team. For budget year, fiscal year 26, we are proposing a budget that has a 10% increase, and I wanted to talk about some of those variances you might have questions about. The first is contractual services. Contractual services does include all of our fire and police testing and expenses related to that. And so we have 3 promotional activities that start this fiscal year, but we will see the bulk of those expenses in next fiscal year. The promotional tests tend to be offered every other year, except you'll remember last year we had to offer the lieutenant test just a little bit earlier because our list got exhausted. So we do those about every other year. We pay a flat fee for those tests, regardless of the number of candidates. It does include our entry tests, and we project those based on our history of applicants. And then when we look at the background checks, now we do our own backgrounds internally. Our police department takes care of those. But this is talking about their medical checks and the psychological exams. We pay for those. They average about $1,500 per candidate. And so the numbers as we're projecting those are based upon the hiring numbers that we have received both from Chief Canny and Chief Scarlett. We have seen something that we're seeing across all employment of where people start within the process and then they drop during the process. And the police and the fires have been the same way. And we're trying to figure out, because they are a more costly hire, what we can do to make sure that we're not paying and then losing at a higher rate. Because again, we're seeing that across the board. This also includes support for our CGI upgrade, and then it includes the increased expenses for our EAP. If you remember, we brought a proposal and went with Memorial, and that's paid dividends. We're really happy with the higher level of services and are receiving a lot of unsolicited compliments, and I've loved working with them. The electronic data processing increase, that's driven by ISD and is primarily with some upgrades that they're doing. Well, I don't know that we're looking forward to the process to get us there. We're very excited about when the upgrade is completed, and what we'll see is increased efficiency, effectiveness, and productivity. Our travel went up, but it's a small account, so while it went up 7.7%, it's $160. This is primarily to support travel when we have people going for professional development. You'll see our final has been relatively low, but we've been very lucky that some of these workshops have been where we could travel and come back the same day. And one that Isaac went to, he had family there, and so he saved us some hotel costs. We can't predict that we're going to be that lucky in the next fiscal year. If we look at some of the highlights, I know you've got a copy, so I'm not going to go over all of them. But we did start 3 promotional exams for the fire and for the police department. And we did do 2 police entry and 1 firefighter entry exam. And then we've had a number of lateral hires. And so those expenses, and you can see what those numbers are. When we look at the last fiscal year, the fiscal year to date, we have welcomed 162 hires and rehires. That doesn't include temporary employees, and we have seen some good minority representation. When we look at recruitment and retention, one piece that we're glad of is we increased our municipal equality index, I keep trying to say equity, or our MEI with the Human Rights Campaign. We were at 72 last year, and we've gotten our number up to 100. Now, thank you. That might have been a goal that the mayor gave me on day of hire. We actually scored more than 100 points, but 100 is as much as they'll give us. For some of those points, it was merely taking care of a couple of housekeeping. For example, our police department has had an LGBTQ+ liaison for a while, but we didn't have the name out there on the website. And then some of the others are about the diversity of the mayor's appointments and the support that we have done within those activities. We have been expanding and verifying and looking for new community recruitment sources and making sure that we're well represented at all of the recruiting events we're invited to. We did complete an initial compensation analysis, and I will admit that I had been hopeful that would be a one and done and I'd have a full plan. But that analysis said that we've got some additional steps before we can achieve internal equity and market competitiveness as a process going forward. So we've completed that, and you'll see that it's going to remain on for fiscal year 26. In the training and development, we made great strides last year, and then our training and development specialist got one of those offers she couldn't refuse. And I'm really glad, though, that with some of the ongoing work, including our annual compliance, all of the HR team took a piece of her duties. They transitioned, and now as Joe is here, we're transitioning them back. But that meant all of the initiatives that had been started after that position had been vacant for a while, continued, and we didn't lose any of our ground. We have been doing things to support both employees and agencies. The EAP, I mentioned before, I've got to give it again. They have been helpful not only with our employees in providing support, but also providing support to me and leadership whenever we have a situation where we need their expertise. We love supporting the initiatives from the agency, and I mentioned just a couple. The police department's has introduced a police cadet scholarship. I won't take away their thunder, but we love being able to support creating that agreement, creating the application, supporting the recruitment out at Lincoln Land for those scholarships, and that's been really great. Public Works did their community arborist. We got a late start because of when the grant got approved, and we're really looking forward to recruiting those student arborists, and we'll be coming back to ask for your referrals. It was a great program. What we missed in quantity, we made up for quality, and it was just great, and we're really excited about supporting that going forward. And then the HR team is just a team that likes to have fun. So if there's a city-sponsored event, we usually are there or decorating a door or doing whatever it is that we can do to support our city. Nick did move to Human Resources, and he's been a godsend. He came in March, and did you know that? All right, well, that's true. So I'm glad you're front and center so everybody could see your face. And one of the things he did, because labor relations has resided in a number of places, so he spent the summer and used an intern, have centralized an archive, so we have much more accessible records on the labor relations side. And then he has participated as the negotiation on 6 collective bargaining agreements have been completed. So much different than where we started. We just have 1 expired collective bargaining agreement. Yeah, that's pretty exciting. And he's already proactively involved in getting the ones that are going to be expired next year to the negotiating table. When we look towards fiscal year 26, a lot of it is the continued growth of the department and the individuals. The one piece I was really sad that we had to delay is our management and supervisor orientation. It is such a need when we talk to the agencies and we talk to the individuals. It's going to be a combination of kind of that boots to ground, how do I put the paperwork, what form do I use, where do I find that out, and then a combination of our leadership core competency model and making sure that we're developing good leaders. So it's both, that application and then how to enact good leadership theory. We will continue with the compensation plan. Now it's a little bit different. I anticipate that I will have it to the mayor for her review within the next month, and hopefully then that will come to you after I do the edits she identifies. And within that, it will identify the steps that we need to take to have a full plan that assures internal equity and good market competition. We have been developing those community recruitment sources, and now we're working on developing personal relationships with them, because what we want is when they meet a good person in the community who's very qualified, we want them to think, oh, Chrissy just called me from the city, or Jessica was just here to visit. And so we're continuing that development. We've been doing compliance audits primarily internally with the HR department. Now we're ready to go a little bit deeper, where you're checking, are the posters in the right place? Are they updated? Do our managers and supervisors understand the difference between exempt and non-exempt? Just trying to find those gaps where we might need to do any fixing. And then same thing, going deeper with our performance metrics. You get a dashboard. We love the dashboard. It gives us a lot of good information. But we need to get down in the weeds if we're going to make decisions about where to put our resources to make sure that we've got the best return. So that means we've got to get a little bit more detailed. And then we're always going to be about agency alignment. We are here to ensure that the city is moving in the direction that's been set and that achieving the successes that it wants and that our agencies are achieving the goals. I think you've seen with the presentations so far and the ones that are coming that personal services is a huge chunk of those expenditures. So we need to make sure that our recruitment and our practices are both identifying and then preparing future talent so that we can achieve those directions and those goals. And with that, I will answer any questions that I can.
Thank you, Director. First on the question list is Alderwoman Conley.
No, she's last.
Well, I have no speakers.
Oh, you have nothing.
Nothing.
I have no speakers.
I just saw you.
Yeah, oh, no, yeah, yours isn't working. That's
Alderman Williams, you're up.
Hi, Alderman Williams.
You're forgiven. Thank you, Director. Thank you for the presentation. I just wanted to verify. So our total head count for the city employees is 1,490? Is that correct?
No, our head count is about 1,379. It's on the last dashboard as of December.
Oh,
What I
Just looking at this is the budgeted, the budget
That may be
presented
the
this year, but it states fiscal year 2025, 1469.
That might be the approved positions versus our head count, which are the filled positions. So 1,379 are how many filled
okay.
positions
And
we
so
have.
out of that 1,379, how many live outside the city of Springfield?
I won't know that number, and I anticipated that you would have this question. Because we have some people that were grandfathered, so I'd have to look at where those numbers were. We have been tracking the residency for those that are new hires, and we have pulled that information, both Jessica and Chrissy, and then putting those things, and then we're going to do some data analysis so that the mayor can present that. For the people that are outside of the city, and here's the challenge, we can look at Springfield addresses, but we've got to go a little bit further to look at those that are within the corporation limits. And so that's the piece what I want to make sure that I've got the right data to give to you. But do know that I anticipate the question and the discussion and that we're going to make sure we get that information to you.
Yeah, I would like to have it before we vote on any kind of budget. And you can break it down any kind of way you need to.
You got it.
But I just need to understand that number, please.
Isaac is writing that down.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
Anything further, Alderman?
That's it.
Okay, thank you. Now that I'm back connected, Alderman Carlson.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Director. I'm curious about, only because of the previous time I spent with Kim to civil service, and obviously we're always trying to increase and recruit minorities. Our mission really was at police and fire. So my question is, and I don't know, I mean, do we ask entrants when they come in how they found out? Is it word of mouth? Is it these events? Is it high schools, junior colleges, colleges? I mean, what sort of dynamic or the breakdown?
Yes, we do. And matter of fact, it's very timely because Kim and I met with people from the police department as we get ready to advertise our upcoming test. And so she asks everywhere, and you can share, it's primarily through referrals.
Primarily of the 3 or 4 different avenues we use. Okay.
We're still trying other avenues, and we keep trying to think how we can do that and increase those numbers. But our police recruiter goes to a number of colleges and schools and speaks to them, and sometimes we don't always know how those are accounted for when they report that. And so if we meet them, sometimes they say I was referred because Isaac told them they should apply, but that's still our number one place, and so all the more reason to make those personal relationships.
Do we push that ourselves, or do we have to be invited, or how's that work, some of those places?
Both.
Both. Okay.
We do both.
All right.
Yeah. And for all recruiting sources, we are always always, always recruiting. So if there is ever a source or a group in town that is sharing openings with candidates and you think we may not know about it, we would love and welcome any of those ideas. Because we're limited to just what we know, and while we brainstorm an awful lot, recruitment is a numbers game, and I'm always looking, where can we get the word out?
Thank you, Director. Thank you, Chair.
Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. First Director Nikki, I wanted to say you did a great job in your presentation because I don't think you looked down at the paper one time. So you did a good job. And I wanted to just circle back around to our police and fire psychological test exams. You said it was $1,500 per candidate.
No, that's the combination of the medical and the psychological on average. The police and the fire, the exams are slightly different, so the expenses are slightly different. We just tried to come up with where that average would be.
But you did have a concern, though, about if they don't follow through and we're still paying that cost. So how can we try to hold some accountability in that area?
We're working on that. We had one that I think just broke our heart. It was an entry level, and Kim had recruited, and I don't know how many times she vetted because we were going through some different timing to be able to accommodate, and got the offer. So we went through everything, and then turned us down after saying, "Oh no, I know this is where I want my career to be." The concern I have is that we want a wide group of people, and we certainly don't want to put anybody off because of socioeconomic reasons. And I also don't want anybody who, as they go through the process and learn more, think, this is not right for me. I think none of us want somebody responding to a police call or a fire situation who has realized they shouldn't be in that position. So it's really hard when we think about, should they reimburse us? Well, I don't want to we're already looking for people. I don't want to put a barrier. I don't know yet, but we have started those conversations to say, how can we balance that we want that wide group of people and that we also still want people to self-select if they shouldn't be a firefighter or a police officer in Springfield. I don't have the answer yet, but it is expensive.
Yeah, thank you for your honest opinion, too. And then after you just shared that to me sounded like the balance, and it doesn't sound like you have too many going through that process where we're just like...
Not yet.
Well, I hope
but we're seeing more than we'd like. So that's I wish they would do that introspection during some of those earlier days, and we're trying to make sure that we get information to them so perhaps they can do it. So we've got more videos that we're putting where they're talking about what that means physically. So we're trying some things, but I don't have a silver bullet to say this is going to be what fixes our problem.
I'm still trying to find the crystal ball from Director Ramona.
If you find one, then there's a good stock, I'd take one.
Okay, and then my last follow-up is
sorry.
just to ask when it's time for recruitment for the arborist area, please let me know because I would love to share that information and definitely send you all some names.
It's coming soon. There is a recruiter that Source, the Faith Coalition that's mentioned. We're going to sit down and work with them. And then when we post it, I will absolutely make sure that we are asking because we're looking for targeted areas. And so I will make sure that I engage you. And we will be engaged earlier because the grant was a little late in us getting that approval.
Well, make sure you send my twin out for me, too. Thank you, Chair.
Alderwoman, I believe Mayor Busher has something to add as well.
Alderwoman, for one of your questions, I agree with the director. We do not want to discourage folks to apply and have economic disparities. But once someone is hired and on staff and training, PBPA has in their contract that if the person chooses to drop out, they have to repay a portion of that.
Thank you
That's
for
in the
that.
PBPA, yeah. It would not be if we discharge them, but if they chose to say, it's not for me, but to test and all that, we don't do that because we don't want to discourage people.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for that clarification, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Next up is Alderwoman Conley, finally.
Thank you, Chair. I went from first to last, but that's okay. I'm all right with that. Thank you very much. I want to just thank so many of your staff coming in and staying late tonight to be here as part of this. It's great to have faces to some of the names I've seen in
agree.
emails.
And they're
thank you
pretty
very much
awesome.
for that. I can tell. So my question is just, if you could, a little clarification, because I don't know if everyone understands what that equality index is and what the impact is of us having such a great score now.
The Human Rights Campaign looks at equity, and primarily they're focused on the LGBTQ plus. And so they measure a number of items to talk about where the barriers might be for members of the LGBTQ plus community for that city, for that municipal. They also do it for other organizations, but this is the municipal code. They are looking at everything. So we were sharing information from community relations. They're sharing information by looking at, one of the factors is when our police department reports their crime statistics, do they identify hate crimes? Just to show that overall diversity. And so when you have a low number, we look less friendly and less inclusive and less accepting. And so this is one of those scores that says somebody has looked at not just what we answer, but they've looked at the data and the criteria that's part of public record to be able to talk about our openness and our acceptance, and that it isn't a barrier. From an employment standpoint, I don't want anything that artificially keeps someone from being considered for their talent or keeps them from applying. Again, that's why I'm always recruiting. And so that's what that score is for us.
Thank you. I wanted to be sure people understand. I mean, this is like a 20, almost a 25% improvement in that score, and that really means something to show that, you know, in our hiring practices, in our city functions, and how our city is that we are not just that we are inclusive, but that there are efforts being made. Then it's a priority. And Mayor Bush, I know you and I have talked about this before you even ran, that was a concern. And so I thank you, because I think this is important for us to show, you know, their Phoenix Center is tonight, has training for members of the LGBTQ community on, you know, what are your concerns with changes that are maybe coming, and, you know, what are your rights and how does that happen? And I find it very encouraging that to see this score, to see that we as a community are standing strong there too, is really critically important. So thank you very much, and I appreciate you highlighting that tonight too.
Well, thank you. Thank you. The mayor gave it as a goal. I wanted higher. I will say there might have been a little office dance when I saw that it was 100.
Well, thank you for your work.
To piggyback on that, some of the non-for-profits, that affects their grant funding applications.
Yes.
So it's really important that we do well
So
there.
has this been transmitted to our not-for-profits so that they know that the score has changed?
Yes.
Wonderful, great. Thank you very much then. Thank you all for your hard work, we appreciate it.
Anything further, Alderwoman?
No, thank you, Chair.
Any further questions of the director, of anybody in our team? Seeing none, director and everyone, thank you for coming this evening.
Thank you very much.
A couple minutes for the next department, which is the Office of Planning and Economic Development. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One of them, yeah.
Thank you.
Kim, see you. Kim.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
All right, thank
They
you.
normally go on the
Got one
end
for him?
just in case somebody wants
Sure,
to
appreciate
pick
it.
one up on the end.
Thank you so much.
What's that?
Put them on the end just in case somebody in the audience want to look at it. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Director, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, the floor is yours. Welcome.
All right, welcome. Again, thank you for having me, Mayor Busher and our esteemed alderpersons. I am thrilled with just, 2 weeks in myself, being able to be here to present a budget that was worked out while I was part of that department, and enjoyed being part of that team and now leading this team into this next budget as approved and reviewed. And I brought some members of my team, which I'll introduce in a couple slides from here.
Okay.
So the Office of Planning and Economic Development structure is really 3 departments within our department. So our Community Development Department is led by Julia Cave. She is our longtime member up here at the podium with me, up at the table with me. She handles a variety of team members below her, including our home inspections and support team that do a lot of our intakes for our programs and things like that. And we'll be looking at those programs as we proceed. Economic Development will be managed by, and will be, and I say she's joined our team as Director Baker said, she's had a number of new hires recently. She braved the snow the first day and joined us on our official snow day, our late start day, but still came in and joined us, even with the option to join us the following day during orientation. She joined us. And so this is Julia Griffin. And she also, and I don't want to embarrass her, but we had the privilege of meeting her mom who brought her some things for her office tonight. She is 2nd generation economic development. Her mother is recently retired from an economic development office in Coles County. So she's grown up with some of this.
Excuse me, is your mom Angela? Yes, Angela Griffin. Used to be my neighbor.
There you go. There you go. It's an incredibly small world. I will also share that her staff that she will work directly with, they were in grad school together. So it's exciting to see that immediate synergy within our department and how we can do that. Julia Cave also served in this role kind of in the past and then found the best niche of her field of expertise under community development. So we already have us not working in silos, but rather doing a lot of collaboration. Grant administration is the role that I continue to serve in as we look for a replacement for my position as grants coordinator, but also I feel that at this point I'm in a position after some time here at the city to keep us going, and I continue to kind of shift my day around as I can to make sure our grants stay in compliance. We continue to look for new opportunities, and all the departments are really just doing a tremendous job based on some of the accomplishments you'll see we did. Our grants management is in a good place, so we look forward to adding to our team shortly. And then finally, kind of helping all of these things and working throughout the city is our professional planner, Sean Pritchard, who you've met at another meeting as well, or some of you have met one-on-one. He will be providing, working with the mayor and myself on really looking at what our goals are, what our accomplishments can be in the future, what we're striving for, and again, how we can bring connections and that kind of thing. His background, too, we couldn't ask for a better match in the sense that he, at one point, was Deputy Director of DCEO. So when you talk to somebody that knows grants, knows a lot of resources for us to utilize and to think about kind of those big picture things, or I find myself sometimes in conversations with Sean already, he'll say something and I'll be like, oh, I'd kind of forgotten about that, or that was a good refresher. And so he speaks firsthand in his knowledge of some of the things that we need to know for resources for our constituents and those programs and services that we're doing, community development, economic development, and grant administration. When it comes to staffing, I've just introduced this key leadership team, but we do have, and we are requesting 13.5. Now that sounds a little odd too, and it looks like there's an increase. There really isn't. That 13th person is our 100% paid recompete grant-funded position. So we do have another professional operations coordinator title in our office. That's Dr. Kiara Rogers, who was actually under the weather as well, so couldn't be here even if she had been able to. She is running our recompete grant, which we'll be sharing and giving updates about throughout as we work toward that as a planning grant. And our certainly hope and anticipation is that we can follow up with an additional grant from that. Okay. There was no change then from the 12 that we had, even with the addition of Sean, because we don't have our Harvard Bloomberg Fellow out of, many of you met Sae over the years, that she was here as our Harvard Bloomberg Fellow. So we were able to do that addition without any additional staff. The half person will be working between planning and economic development and budget and management. So again, to bring that field of expertise beyond a fiscal officer to our office, but also have someone, again, that can assist us as we're looking at our funding in our different programs, when we're looking at budget reporting in our grants, we will have someone, again, that has some access to some of those accounting software. They understand that and can help us, again, assist to ensure that we're meeting our needs and meeting our requirements and being in compliance. We do need to do some hiring, though. As I talk about those numbers, we are 4 staff down. We're 4 staff down, technically. Our budget. And I'm happy to talk to any of the variances, to speak to a couple of them I kind of just already have in personal services. Some of that really a shift has gone on. The other thing that I want to point out, one of the questions I had, although it's not a large variant, I mean, it is a little bit of a variance, are travel. And that's an exciting, just minor change. That's something exciting that I want to share with you, that we have done a little increase, and we'll be using those funds more directly, because in our lead program, having our lead certifications now, we are able to, and sounds negative, but it's a positive, able to displace some people, offer a per diem and lodging while we work on some of that abatement in their homes. So that's kind of an exciting thing, and that's what that budget reflects. All right. Other things, come into fact when a grant activity is reduced, like we've completed that grant. You'll notice also that some of our contractual things have changed based on merit and some employee changes. And finally, we also wanted to say that some of our grants have ended. So when you see that grants and award, again, not that we're anticipating less grants and awards, but some of them have ended, so that changes some things, or transferred to another department. The next slide, which again just shows that pie chart with the breakdown of what we're doing. You'll see that, again, we're utilizing those funds and where those funds come from in each of those funding sources. This really paints it in a bullet pointed type thing versus the numbers in front of you. 92.1% of the OPED annual budget, or 15 million of the proposed budget, goes directly to needs in our services, needs in our community, excuse me, our services and needs in our community. We have federally funded programs, our grants, our state, federal, and local, our TIF redevelopment projects, our corporate grants. And each of those sources comes through with different reporting requirements and standards. And we've been talking a lot about those. I know there's been lots of great questions and lots of great ideas, and we continue to want to incorporate those. We have those requirements and reporting standards, but how can we better share those? How can we better communicate those and hear from others about those? Community grants detail breakdown. This shows you again how the request will be used. Keep in mind, we are an entitlement community. So we are not applying for some of these community funds. For instance, our CDBG funds, we don't apply for those. We are entitled to those. So we are the ones then that can look at how we're using those funds under the standards and requirements. But those are not funds we're applying for as a grant, but rather those are funds that we're entitled to. Again, 92.1% back out the door to our community. This is one that I want to say, as part of the team, that I feel, I understand and have seen firsthand these accomplishments. So while Director Yazel was there last year leading the charge and helping to put into place things that these accomplishments happen, as part of the team, I couldn't be prouder than these accomplishments. And I'm not going to read them all to you, but I want to point out a few. We created and launched, actually Julia created and launched, an innovative lead abatement program that we are recognized for. More than 50% of those trained are minorities. We had lead abatement funds that we were not able to use. So here we are, an entitlement community with these funds, and we don't have a way to use them because we do not have local contractors. And by local, I mean not local at all. They would be coming from out of town. We had, even though we had projects waiting for them. First of all, we want to work with local vendors and contractors. Second of all, those folks from out of town weren't necessarily willing to come to town to do this. So Julia's innovation was that we, and it fit within the protocol, to use some of those funds for a training. The training was free of charge. We marketed it. We now have 5 companies, 33 certified lead workers, 30 lead abatement supervisors, 14 single-home family projects have already been completed since the training, and that training didn't happen at the beginning of the year. That training happened as an innovative look at what we could do differently. Julia, they were even provided some of their equipment, were they not?
They have not been yet.
Okay, but they will, and they're able to bid on projects and come in. So we have, companies that are able to, and again, through those, because we did certify them ourselves, we do know the data on that. More than 50% of those trained are minorities. So we're very excited about that and working with them. Julia was also recognized, we're on Julia's highlights right now. And again, she is our returning member to our team and one that, again, helps on a daily basis to help get us all up to speed what she's been doing and has some cross-training with our TIF program as well. But she was actually chosen and she spoke as a HUD speaker this year, which again is an esteemed honor for us to have. You heard from HUD when they came to visit with us at and do a presentation at one of our council meetings. So again, we're very excited that, and it's never a bad thing to have our funders recognize us and to know that we're doing our best to promote and utilize those funds. It just is, again, a really nice thing for us to do. We also revised some applications and intake processes. We don't want there to be barriers to people feeling like they can apply for these funds, feeling like they understand the application, feeling like they understand the requirements. We've still got some work to do, but we've come a long way in looking at the intake process and the revised applications. We funded 29 emergency home repairs and 8 single-family ADA accessibility projects. Now, again, doesn't sound like a lot in a year, but we had to make great strides to get to that point. We had to make great strides to go through a pile of those waiting and determine how we could take action and make some things happen for families and individuals in our community. One of the things out of the department that I was managing, when I walked in, I said, how do we know what all the what grants we have at the city? We talk about them. We know that there's grants helping to fund some of our offset things. You'll hear Director Dahl, when he spoke about CVB on Tuesday night, he talked about some of the grants that really make a difference in tourism. But we didn't have one single place where all those grants were housed. The police grants, the fire grants, the public works grants, the arborist, the tree grants that we had were all housed in those individual departments, and I was charged with trying to assist, trying to find additional resources, and trying to make sure those grant reporting was done. So we've created a shared drive where all of those grants go in one place, rather than just a shared drive within that department. And we've made great strides in doing that. At one glance, we can tell what reports are due, what reports have been done, what reports are in need, what the original agreement said, and it's been a great resource for us. And we were able to do that in-house with ISD, so we didn't have to buy any additional software or anything like that. We were able to do it in-house, and it was just kind of a simple organizing. Again, we've worked really hard in OPED to do organization and planning, and we continue to. Finally, $6.1 million in grant and award payments as of 1/10/25. So again, we've gotten that money back out to the community. Finally, and I should have started with this, here's an example. Here's an example of an accomplishment. We can put accomplishments in words, but look at this picture. Look at the pride this homeowner can have in their home. Look at that. So, okay, who's going to claim it in their ward?
Looks like North End.
Of course it is.
Do we have the address on that, guys?
That's probably north.
It's on Cook Street.
It's on Cook.
Ward 3.
Yeah.
Or two.
Smiling.
Or two.
There you go.
Maybe. Or
There
two.
you go. There you go. I was waiting for one of you to pop right up and know where it was. But yeah, I just want to show that, and
So many.
and we have series and series more of these. But again, this is truly a picture of accomplishment, and we're very proud of that. And we want to see a lot more of that going on.
Alderwoman Conley.
I was waiting till I just got in early.
Thank you.
Oh, okay, I'm not that early. Thank
Done.
you.
That was it. I wanted to end with a picture.
Wonderful. Thank you, Director. Thank you all for coming. It's good to see you again. Real quickly, one of the ordinances that we passed in this council was for non-incentive exterior home repairs in non-incentive areas, non-TIF, non-cannabis zone. I'm assuming that's listed under here as our corporate grants.
Yes.
Okay, and how much money is allocated for that for the next year?
250 or $300,000.
Okay.
I want to say 300.
Thank you, because I know, I've talked to a lot of people. I think that's one program that we need to make sure we're doing more outreach around. Ward 8 has no incentive zones at all, and which was why that program was started, because, you know, I do have low-income homeowners who we want to stabilize, and we want to see them stay in their homes and have their homes be a benefit to the community. And it can be difficult. I mean, it's expensive. Everything has been expensive. So if we could, I just want to make sure that's how much we've got in there, and I'd love to. Who?
I
is
can't
that,
cough without sneezing,
no, it's
sorry.
okay. Is it Julia? Which Julia should I be talking to about?
My community program specialist.
Please use the microphone. Thank you.
You carry, but we want to make sure you're on TV too.
The business development and community development kind of married together. So my community program specialist
Closer to the mic, please.
initially takes the call from the homeowner, and then we put their address in, and then we tell them about any incentive. So if it's citywide, if it's Far East, if it's whatever it is, if it's one of my community CDBG programs, then we let them know that. We do the intake, gather all the information on my end, and then if it is citywide or TIF, then we pass it on to Julia's team.
Okay, great,
Okay.
wonderful.
But we do let them know, we do, and there's been a lot of citywide, actually. I think the first one I sent you a picture of, it was
Yes.
a remarkable before and after picture.
You did, and
Yeah.
it's really heartwarming. And I will tell you, I mean, a lot of the thought behind that was, you know, people were coming in because they were getting citations, you know, and I had, you know, older homeowners who'd been in their homes forever, you know, younger people who were able to buy a house before prices went whack-a-pack. And the struggle was, you know, yeah, things break, gutters start to come down, roofs start sagging, and prices don't go down. And so we want to make sure that people aren't getting hit with citations without some sort of support
Right.
to get them to compliance. So both Julias, I'd love to connect with you at some point and really talk about more ways that we can promote this and really engage with people. And the other area of engagement that I've been lacking on, and I know I need to get back out and do it again, but with our local community banks, to work on, and Alderman Gregory has brought this up, to work on a low interest loan program for people who participate in these because they're reimbursement programs, but they know they're going to get half that money like right off, you know, immediately once the project's done. So have a relationship with our local banks where that's an option, where we can also then say, okay, yes, you have to put the money up front, but here's a way for you to get that without, you know, going through quite as many hurdles, because maybe we've done some of that groundwork for them. So
We actually have a meeting, I set up a meeting for us with a local bank next week.
Oh, good, I'm glad, so you read my mind and we're good.
They have agreed to work with homeowners, and then also like the cannabis grant program, small business owners that don't have that. I think one of the barriers for low income is the 50%.
Yeah.
I'd like to maybe look at, like, for the very low or extremely low, even making it like on a sliding scale where we can do 75-25.
I would absolutely think that's a
So
great
I-
change to that program.
Yes.
And I
So-
know Alderman Gregory's made good advances with some of the other programs with the exterior and interior repairs. And I think that's part of what we need to be doing to stabilize housing for people
Exactly.
who want to stay in their homes and who, you know, take pride in their home and their neighborhood. It gets so expensive.
Yes.
You know, so we'll talk about that.
I look forward to working with you.
Wonderful, thank you very much. It's good to know we've got a reasonable amount of money in there, and I'm excited to hear the demand is continuing. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Gregory.
Thank you, Alderwoman Conley, or Chair, then Alderwoman Conley, for that question, because that was one of my questions. And if I'm not mistaken, that comes from our fines, from housing fines and things of that nature. And is this 1 year's worth, or is this multiple years' worth in this 850?
I don't have an answer to that, but I can get that for you. Multiple years?
Yeah. How much do we generate per year? I guess, in our fines?
Microphone, please.
They put the money in, and then once it runs low, then they'll reallocate additional funds to it. So we don't, it's not like we're giving all the money at once. They request a certain amount, and then once that starts running low, they request another 300,000.
Okay, all right, thank you. That makes sense. So of course, I have a lot of questions, but I'm not going to do that tonight. I really just want to focus on our cannabis grants and that process. Have we thought about how we're going to roll that process out? February 1st is coming.
We indeed, we have, Alderman Gregory. We have been talking about that, more than talking about it. We're starting to take some action and putting some proactive things together as a team. Again, we can discuss that, further at another meeting beyond our budget time, but please know that this is important to us, that we're looking at this. And this also falls into the category of something that, this is the third year. So the first year, you kind of work your way through it as much as you can. The second year, you learn from what you've done and hasn't been able to be done. Now, this third year, we're looking at how are we going to make sure that those applicants that are coming in have the right pieces and parts for application? How are we going to make sure that we, spread the word? I mean, all sorts of things. How long can we keep the applications open? So we're looking at all of those parts and pieces, but we're very aware of it, and thank you for bringing it to our attention too.
So are we going to be ready to go and open up applications February 1st?
We should be, but we want to also know that we don't have to use that money February 1st. So while the money becomes available February 1st, we don't have to use it. And sometimes haste allows us to move too quickly. And we want to make sure that, again, we're looking at what's been done, what funds haven't been able to be used in the past because there was not everything clear and things like that. So we are working toward that. So
Thank you for that. And I'm going to ask Ms. Ramona, can you do me a favor, Ms. Ramona? Can you give me the revenues for the cannabis? So this would have started 2019 when this was passed by the governor. We couldn't tax it until January 1st. So we taxed it January 1st of 2020. So we went from 2020 all the way to now. We've had a 622,000 round that everybody didn't get everything. Some of that dropped off, and then we had a $280,000 round, and that's it. But in that time frame, $500,000 has went to our police and fire pension as we agreed. But this money has not gone to the community as we agreed. So that's why I'm asking these questions. So, and I see the number in here is 850,000, or no, excuse me, 650,000. And so, just so for my numbers, to see where we're at and things, can you do that for me, Ms. Ramona? And I know there's some rules on privacy in the Illinois state law that it can't be exact, but if we can get some numbers each year of what was accrued, what was spent, I'm sorry?
Yeah, what was left?
Yes, and what was left, and where we spent those things at, so we can get as close as we can, an accurate count of that. So that's my take on the cannabis side of it. I really would like us.
Thank you.
I would really like to see us open up the application period and take those applications, and then at that point, work through whatever process as far
Our
as
priority also is when those people get those applications, when the applications are prepared for them, that they understand what the application means and the timing. They also understand that, an application doesn't mean funding. And we want to make sure there's no misconceptions from those getting them. Again, we've been looking at people that have applied, people that have benefited from it, and people that maybe weren't able to benefit it for what reasons. So we want to make sure that we're really helping people along the way.
All right. My last comment on that particular subject is I hope that time in this grant, like when we award something, is not a major factor to those applicants. And I say that because there's other funds that people get, and we hang on and we let them work it, and they work it, and they're still eligible for it, and they got it. Projects over here, there's been some stipulations. Oh, you got a year to spend it. I think that's unfair. Because if that's the case, if you ain't spent the money in a year, you ain't spent the money in a year, and that would be for TIF or anything, right? So that's just my opinion on that. I know you'll have another one, but I just want to move on. I don't want to hang on that. On our Far East TIF, the Far East TIF, the Madison Park Place TIF, I think that's my only two TIFs besides downtown. There's a little portion that touches. So there's 1.1 million in the Far East. Is that all of it, or is that just what's loaded in there?
They are pretty well loaded in there. I'm looking at some additional numbers here that, as Alderman Donlin calls them, the Big D, really helped us put together. I shout out to Dallas Whitford as well for putting some of this together. But yeah, they are loaded in there on those TIFs.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Ramona, can I also get how much we generate yearly in the Far East at Madison Park Place TIF, as well as downtown? Please, and thank you. That's all my comments for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Notrano.
Thank you, Chair. So I see here that you all have revised the application and intake process for home rehab, and that's exciting news to hear because I know some constituents that were struggling with that. Could you give some more details about the revisions?
Poor Julia, I'm going to have to pass the microphone to her again.
Okay, so previously when the homeowner would fill out a pre-screening questionnaire and then have to submit all their documentation, and then they might be waiting months and months and months, and the documents are only good for 3 months. So now they're having to resubmit. So we corrected that. We have them submit it when they're getting ready to get their work done.
Nice.
The other thing that we did too, because we had hundreds of people on our waiting list, we are now focused on emergency home repair. So that way the people don't have heat, don't have hot water, have a hole in their roof, those kind of things that are affecting their health and safety, we can focus on them. And our waiting list has shrunk tremendously. We might have 30 people on our list right now. We've been able to help everyone. So we've streamlined it and been able to help people that really need it the most, rather than just cosmetic things, things that will affect them.
That's great. And then you also have some plans for more community outreach. I was wondering what that was going to look like.
Well, we've already launched one this calendar year, and we have another one scheduled for February 13th, which you'll be getting information and PR about. It is a consolidated community meeting for our consolidated 5-year plan for CBDG money. We're taking those meetings out into the community at locations that are easy to get to, locations in the area that can be best served by those funds, and seeking input. We can look at these funds and say, well, do we think these are how they should be used? We're getting community input on those. We've even utilized a QR code so that people that can't attend can share and do a survey online. So the next one is scheduled for February 13th in the community, and we'll have more information to you about that.
Oh, okay. So you don't know where it is yet?
Yes, it is actually at Visions 1908, which is the NAACP building.
Okay.
Former NAACP building.
Yes.
Okay.
You get her in trouble.
Okay. And that is February 13th. I'm sorry. I don't know what day of the week that is.
February 13th. It's a Thursday.
It's a Thursday.
It's a
Okay.
Thursday evening, yes.
Okay. And the last meeting that you had was during a weeknight as well, right?
Correct.
Okay.
And there's always the conflict of other things going on, other community offerings. So we will do our best, but there will be other opportunities for community to be speaking out or community to be engaged in other activities. But we're doing our best to offer them a variety of times. And again, to have that survey available to just do it online from your smartphone or whatever too, we're trying to make it as accessible as possible.
Okay, that's great. Yeah, I would just encourage you to think about alternate times for those folks who maybe are on a night shift or what have you.
Thank you for that input. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the last major usage of the Far East Popular Place?
Yes.
Okay, and thank you. I think on the wait time, I just want to address this because there's people that's been waiting for this February a long time, and I'm hearing you saying, well, just because February comes and you get to apply, don't mean it's going to happen all the way, but it's got to come a time when this city's got it together. I mean, we're going on our third or fourth year, and all I want is, I don't want them to apply in February, and then here we're sitting next budget, and we haven't allocated. See, that time has been so long, and these poor people, it's only 2 in my ward right now, have been waiting for February to get here. Now February is going to get here. They're going to probably be allowed sometime during February when you guys announce to put the app in, but we should have a process. When Valiezo was here, she was going to produce a step-by-step on all this stuff. So we've been telling people this. People have been listening to this, and I just want you to keep that in your mind as you get those applications in and say, what am I going to do with them? Well, really, we should know, Director, by now, what we're going to do with them, what the timeline is, how they get processed, all because we're not like in the first year no more. So I just want you to keep that in mind because I'm going to hear it because I just got a big hit from Popular Place using it instead of individual businesses. Or in this case, you know, marijuana has 2 sides, the residential as well as the business, and they criticize each other sometimes. You know, they think this alderman here focuses too much on the business and not enough on the residential side, you know. So I'm just saying this. In this case, these will be businesses, but they've been waiting. So if you just take that in consideration, it ain't like they just heard about it and then they applied. They've probably been waiting a little over a year to put the app in.
And I think one of the things too, we want to make sure that when they do apply, that they have the parts and pieces that they need for the application. Because sometimes it's not only, you know, the application's available, but do they have what they need for the application? And so that's what we want to clearly communicate.
Well, these are actual owners, so these are actual owners, so I think they will, but they have to be told what it is, do you want them?
That's what we want to have. The
Yeah.
checklist is a
Okay.
perfect example. Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you.
your input, yeah.
Thank you, Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to follow back up real quick from Alderwoman Nutriano. I know I did. First, let me say, Ms. Julia is doing a good job with the meetings in the community. Like, it is very helpful. It's positive feedback. I think the only criticism I received was just it being pushed out so late. So for the February 13th, just making sure we get those flyers to be able to send out to our constituents in each of our ward. And then piggybacking on that, I noticed that both of these meetings are being held on the east side, and that's no shade to my colleagues, but maybe we can look at a centrally location too. Ward 5 sits in the middle, but I could find a space for you all too as well so that it's a central location for everyone to come to. So just spreading it out a little
The flyer's
bit.
already drafted and waiting for, you know, review here at the city.
Okay.
So we've, you know, proactively done that. In fact, because it happened to fall on February 13th, so we could have a moderator and confirm all of those things and have no cost
Okay.
to holding it. We actually have a heart and say, we love your input on it because it's the day before Valentine's Day. So we thought, you certainly understand those marketing type concepts.
Yes.
But no, we just wanted to draw attention to that. And spoiler alert, anyone coming will probably get some conversation hearts because we want to encourage the conversation.
That's cute. And then my next question is, you all do a good job. You just named a project in Alderwoman Conley's area, and you talked about the houses and the rehabs, but we still don't do a good job of telling our story to showcase that out to the community. So I would love to see more of that. And I know I sound like a broken record sometime, but I'm always asking, can we get updates outside of budget time? Updates outside of when you request money?
We'd definitely be happy to do that. And
Yes.
we plan on that.
To be able to showcase the nice stuff that's going on, the positive impact that's going on. And talking about impact, there's a big decrease from the grants, and I know that that can have an impact because some people don't understand how that process works. So can we start to show that type of information to say, like you said, we had some decrease in some of our grants, or we've ran out of those grants, but talk about them more too so people know that it was just a grant. It doesn't mean that we're going to keep receiving it yearly. Just education, education, education.
Absolutely.
And then my final question is, the recompete grant, I am very excited to hear, but I heard you say that as the 13th position, and then you talked about the half position as the fiscal officer between OPID and OBM, right?
That's that half, that's a shared position.
So that's a shared position, but the young lady that's in the recompete grant are we on the?
Her salary, so we have to count her in our head count.
Okay.
And in this budget, I mean, her funds are budgeted, but they are reimbursed 100% from the grant.
Oh.
So every time we run payroll, we then submit to EDA.
Thank
and
you for
EDA
that.
reimburses us for her salary. But she is hired just for that grant. So
Okay. So that's letting us know that that was a very good clarification for that. And I'm excited for her to be in that
thank
role.
you. We wanted to put that our head count looked like it was going up, but it really remains steady at that 12.5. But we have that 13th person in our office because of that grant.
So she's on the grant side, but the half person and I'm sorry, I'm saying half person.
That's okay.
But the fiscal officer person.
Shared position. How
Yeah,
about that?
shared position. That position though is under our head count, right?
Yeah, so actually it's a shared position with
OBM.
with Director Metzger, yes,
Okay.
in her office.
And I think that was about it for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Gregory.
All right, Mr. Pritchard. So, I can't let you take notes
said
over there and
that
not
with
say
energy.
nothing.
Describing the notes, I asked specifically that we take notes to everything you brought up, so thank you.
You're good, thank you. I see you taking notes all over the place. So, Mr. Pritchard, much of the health of our community, and in particular on the east side, is going to be on your ability to plan and weave all these grants and this money together. And you know, it is what it is. You've been criticized and things of that nature. So what's your thoughts on how we, particularly the east side and development, how do we heard my colleague speak on the housing portion of it. What's your thoughts on really tying this together and really start moving towards a vision that people can see?
Yeah, we're not quite there yet. I've been almost here 2 months, and really with planning, whether you're an urban planner, city planner, environmental planner, there's different ways to look at it. Planning is not linear. So currently I'm in kind of what I'm calling the pre-planning phase, which simply is reading the plans that we've had in the city, understanding where we're coming from, understanding the prior visions, and then seeing what have we done. So almost as a checklist, right? Yeah, we've done this. No, we haven't. From there, we'll move into an actual planning aspect. That's where we'll start getting more community involvement, more focus groups, more data analysis. So kind of now pausing, going back to that pre-planning phase that I'm in currently, that's meeting with my colleagues and other folks, not only at the county level, but the city level as well as state. So as Alderman Purchase mentioned, working with Dr. Rogers on recompete, understanding that prime age employment gap, which is what recompete is designed for, reading our white paper, understanding the other cities that have been awarded that, like, for example, the city of Allentown, understanding what their vision is, what they're doing. And then just like you said, you're kind of looping that in. I take a ton of notes for a lot of different reasons. We have to have this scribe to understand these conversations, where we're coming from and where we're going. So again, the recompete was just one aspect. Then working with Julia Cave at the end, understanding her HUD programs, the CBDG aspect. Because I'm a big fan of analogies, so folks will always hear me kind of talk about the octopus tentacles. Springfield is the head of the octopus, and everything else is really, it's the tentacles. And so, again, it seems like 2 months, that's a lot of time. No excuses, planning does take a bit of time, frankly, to understand. We're in a tough time for getting out in the public just with the weather. Obviously, Director Yezel retired 2 weeks after I joined the team. And it's a brand new position, so really trying to understand what that looks like. And I've kind of mentioned it before. This isn't a city planner that you might have experienced before. If you're from Decatur, if you're from Bloomington, not saying that they have one, just using that as an example. Ours is really going to be that business and economic development. So you've asked, kind of what my thoughts are. That's what I excelled at the state. I've mentioned that before when I introduced myself to you all. Brought over $20 billion in incentives to the state. Created over 15,000 jobs, retained over 12,000, and it's by planning. It's by everything you do has a planning aspect, and that's what I'm doing now. And so, you know, when I look at what I've done at the state, I was just mentioning this earlier, there's a lot of incentives that we talk about, like, for example, Enterprise Zone. But how many of us are familiar that there's something called Blue Collar Jobs Acts within Enterprise Zone? Probably not many. It's something that we're missing out on. So as I'm like writing, you know, you brought it up, Sean, Alderman Gregory, Tuesday about CRA. First day on the job, I wrote that on my bulletin board. Not many people understand the Community Reinvestment Act of 1977. So not too many people also understand what a CDFI is, Community Development Financial Institution. So now obviously speaking to this, but these are all of the things that I'm looking at for not only the east side, but all of Springfield. Most of Springfield is in a CDFI investment zone, which means we can work with folks like Grameen America, which was founded by a Nobel Peace Prize winner that's focused on women-owned businesses or basically affordable housing for women. We can work with companies called LISC. We can work with Grow America. We are an investment zone. Some of the things I've looked at are activating or looking at special service areas, opportunity zones, business development districts. So while I'm not quite there to answer, you know, everything yet, that's what I've been kind of working on the last 2 months. And again, what I excelled at the state. You know, I've worked on 2 specific neighborhood revitalizations up in the Chicagoland area that are now synonymous for beauty, for culinary arts, for, you know, kind of that recompete prime age employment gap. And those are the things that I'm trying to look at here. So to answer your question, hopefully decently, still really, really analyzing, researching, meeting different folks, again, at the county level, city level, state level, understanding kind of what, you know, they play in this puzzle, and then how they can help me, and then subsequently how they can help, you know, our community. So.
Well, thank you for that information. So I'll just leave off with this. This year, next year, and going on, right? This city has got to find some tax base. And we have to start getting houses on lots, building tax bases. We have to start getting businesses on lots on these main thoroughways. And I can say, and I'm talking to our director and you, almost $100,000. Sangamon County growth. I'm saying it's the same thing, the same way to everybody. We got to get going. We got to get going. I don't want to ask you when you're gonna, you know, be able to start and things of that nature, but next year I'm probably going to request to meet with all the departments instead of just asking so many questions out front, so I can get a lot out behind and then come up and do that. But I just want to just put that priority and that importance and that hustle. We have to get going. We are going to be in dire shape. So I encourage you to fill the positions that you got. And I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you. I have forgot something in my notes for you. We didn't really discuss the master plan and where that's at, and I was looking at the head count for the positions because I assume it would come from your department. So that was the 13, the fiscal officer, and if we are not having it in here to hire somebody, would you be stepping in, Sean, to fulfill some of those hours? Because I really been studying it and realizing too that we don't necessarily have to have a full-time person if you're going to insert some hours into it as well.
That's a great question that I don't know.
Page 108, too, if you need to refer to it.
That's a question that I'm not sure, you know, with like my role now as I'm developing it, or as just we're developing it, frankly. Again, the octopus tentacles are going to touch in, so whether or not I'm working on the plan, I think I'll still have some involvement. But that is a great question. And Amy, not to put you on the spot, but.
I was just going to say, Director Amy, do you want to?
Right, and, you know, again, that plan has just been reviewed, adopted, if you will, not formally adopted, but rather in our hands to start looking at and knowing and we talked already tonight about, you know, you've got to pause sometimes and look at what's been done, look at what can be done, and look at how we're going to get it done. And so that's kind of one of the things, you know, there are parts and pieces in that plan as well, that right now we have a grant at the merit stage. I think we mentioned this the other night, a grant at the merit stage that actually could knock out a few of those things. So we've kept that in mind as we're looking at. I keep that in mind in my role in grants management and my role directing this department as we get another grants manager, that we're going to be keeping in mind those grants that can help knock out some of those things from a funding standpoint, but we always have to look at our capacity as well. Like you said, not only headcount for a planning person to help lead the charge on that, but also the headcount on what can we accomplish? How much can our public works department still accomplish in some of these plans? How much can, our police and fire manage for additions to things? How much can our, all of those things fall into play? But it's very much, he gave the analogy of an octopus, very much a puzzle. You have to have each of those pieces. You fill in the edges. So we're beyond the edges. I feel very comfortable that we're beyond the edges, but we're just now starting to fill in those components. When you're starting to do a puzzle and you get one section, you're like, oh, I can get the grass done, but oh my gosh, this area over here for the sky, I'm having a real hard time with all these blue pieces. So that's kind of where we're at, but I feel very confident that one thing that we're doing is we're getting input. One thing that we're doing is we're talking about this and we're bringing all of us together. Julia, what an opportunity for her to be able to speak to you and talk about her programs. But the thing is, she too was part of our department in a sense that she was working with TIF. We found her strength and her true passion was working in community development. So she was able to kind of make that shift and then make some things happen in community development. So it all comes together in the end, and that's what we're working toward.
I would say today I was in William Vann's having lunch, and somebody just randomly walked up to my table to ask about where we at with the master plan. So I like what I'm hearing when you say that you're looking for money for other areas that will compensate for this, but I guess maybe update so that I don't say, well, I don't know neither, but we'll find out when we're asking questions. And that's that education component that I'm always talking about too. So just keep that in mind.
Well, one of the first things I hitched on was with his inside scoop to personnel at DCO and everything. I said, I got this wonderful exciting letter that we made it to the merit stage. In other words, we weren't denied. I said, I'm looking through my paperwork. I can't see when that grant is actually going to be announced. So he and I are on a little hunt to see when that's going to be announced. So, we're hoping for positive, but even so, you kind of want to know, can we possibly get these funds, or when are we going to learn we're not getting those funds?
And then I think too, Director Amy, you said something else too that stuck with me, that you have been compiling all the grants in one file for you all to be able to see, so you know where things are. Maybe a quarterly update or even just twice a year to say where things are. I think that would go a long ways in the community as well as people just not even knowing what grants we're working on.
Right, no problem at all. And by having systems in place, it's so much easier when you say, I'd like a report like that, that we can pull that for you.
Thank
Okay?
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Williams, twice.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, this just triggered my mind. Mr. Pritchard, have you ever heard of a Pullman's in South Chicago? It's about the size of 4 or 5 Pillsbury's, And what they did there, they did a lot. They did a Walmart, they did sport, they did a whole, but they did a unique piece where they used that rail and they did this light industry where these guys went to school for 8 to 12 weeks. They didn't require degrees, and they're making things with their hands, and all of them are employed. And when I talked to the alderman out there, he was telling me it was a concept. The difference is it's so large, they have tons of different things going on. But that's just one, and I would just ask, I'm glad to hear you telling me you've heard of it. If you would take a look at it, it's probably 5 years down the road, 6, who knows who'll be here. But it's got some interesting aspects, what they did with something the size of 5 Pillsbury's. And one of them that was very exciting for me was you didn't have to go to college. You didn't even have to go to Lincoln Land. You just had to get through that 8 to 12-year course, learn to make whatever it is they're making out there, and then get on that line and make an honest living. So I think things like that, whoever the mayor is going to be at the time, a lot of people are going to come into play when we get to that phase. The thing ain't even down yet. But I do think you need to take a look at stuff like that.
Yeah, so I'm familiar with the Pullman neighborhood. Another one for folks to look at would be Build Bronzeville, the Bronzeville neighborhood.
Sure, yeah.
It's one that DCO we were heavily involved with, working with Dr. Bernard Lloyd there. That's a great area, and I've talked to a lot of people about that. They have, whether it's like different culinary aspects, to almost like that community kitchen or Having people come in that were previously incarcerated or struggle with being unhoused or mental health issues, coming in to learn a trade. So Build Bronzeville is another one, that again, I have a lot of experience in very similar to the Pullman neighborhood, excuse me.
Well, I'm glad to know you know some of the context already, because I'm aware of Bronzeville too as well, so, and they both are successful.
Very.
And I appreciate you.
There's a few that are up there that have
I just
done a really
wanted
great
to
job.
mention that.
And
Sorry.
one thing I would say, and
Mr. Chair.
apologize, this goes back to your question, Alderman Gregory. I have over 25 designations or certifications. Some of them are from Yale, from MIT. So these are things that I've put, a lot of my career and life into, and that's why I took this role. And that's why I'm so passionate about it. I was able to do a lot at the state. I wasn't able to do a lot in Springfield. In 5 years, I did 4 projects here. I want to do more. That's why I came here. So those are reasons why we're going to do some great things. And again, that's why I'm taking notes. I run through notebooks like crazy. I go back to them, and when we're all meeting at different points, we're going to be talking about these notes. We're going to be talking about these ideas. And then again, like I said at the day I was announced, so I'm a big believer of One Springfield. Everybody has different needs and different wants, but these are the ways we start kind of chiseling away at this and actually making a difference.
That's the right attitude to have.
Thank you very much. Seeing no further questions, Director, your staff, thank you very much for your time this evening and the presentation.
I appreciate very much, and thanks for engaging all of us. Next year, Julia, however, will take the microphone the whole time.
There you
So bear with her. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move along. The next department up before the committee workshop this evening is the Office of Budget and Management.
What we need, a little time?
Another thing.
Do what? Right,
Instead of just giving it to them, and then next thing you know, we gotta go cut their grass, so.
That's true.
$500 and then
They got to be able to show you what they want.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Especially if they buy 6 or 7 lots, you know.
Oh,
Thank you.
I think we kind of just. Downstairs? Oh, I'm so sorry. You just gonna go where?
I was gonna go downstairs, having a smoke.
They leaving.
Hey, Courtney,
I'll be there.
can I have one of those?
Yeah, air's going.
Okay, Director, the floor is yours. Please proceed.
I'm ready to roll.
Good evening. Tonight, first we're going to go over the questions from last night before we start the Office of Budget and Management presentation. Is that okay?
I'd really like you to get into the presentation. We got a lot to go over tonight.
Okay.
I'm not opposed to that, but can we wait till the end?
Sure.
Okay.
You could just email the answers to Tim Griffin and he could send them out.
Yeah, do you mind doing it that way?
I can do it that way.
Okay, is everybody okay with that?
What's that?
Tim will disseminate the answers to the questions from the prior workshop. That way we'll all have an opportunity to look at them, and then I'm sure if we have, we probably will have follow-up questions, we can certainly do so then. Okay, please proceed.
Good evening. The Office of Budget and Management consists of 6 divisions: the Accounting Division, the Administrative Division, the Budget Division, Central Services, Payroll Division, and the Fleet Services. This is a lengthy list of what we do. Basically, if it involves money, fixing a car, or buying anything for the city, it comes through OBM. Our current workforce is at our head count is at 49.5. It's the same as last year. Currently, we have 5.5 vacancies in our department. This slide is our budget. It includes all funds. As you can see, the self-insurance fund makes up the largest part of our budget. The corporate fund is 13%. This is a breakdown of the cost center for all funds. Personal services is up 4.29%. Contractual services is up 3.24%. A lot of the negatives are just drops in fund transfers. The corporate fund, this is all activities. So this includes interfund transfers. Again, you'll see there's a large drop on those. Personal services is a 6.17% increase for this coming fiscal year that we're asking for. This is just a breakdown of the pie chart of the corporate funds. The interfund transfers in the pie chart does not include ARPA funds. What this does include is the $3 million transfer to the library, the $400,000 transfer to motor vehicles parking, the $500,000 transfer to Oak Ridge Cemetery, and a $2.5 million transfer to funds 94 and 95. This is our budget for operations only from the corporate fund. So this is basically us in the second floor, purchasing and all the administrative, budgeting, payroll divisions. Our budget on this is we have an increase of 6.21% for this coming year. The next, this slide is the breakdown of fleet services budget. It is have the increase of 9.21%. Contractual services are up 11.5%. Personal services are up just a little over 6%. This chart shows our estimated fleet consolidation savings over the year since FY17. We feel this is actually a very conservative estimate on savings. Through FY22, we are showing growth of our estimated growth of 1.75%. In FY22, we bumped that up to estimated growth of cost growth of 3.25% to capture the inflation spike that we had in the last couple of years. Our estimate for this year with the fleet consolidation that we are saving compared to the previous setup with the fleets is just under $4 million for this year. On this pie chart, you'll see the self-insurance fund. Again, the health and life insurance takes up the bulk of it. There is a $2 million increase on the health insurance for this year. This is the capital improvements Fund 95. Fund 95 is broken down into basically 4 activities. The first activity involves the general campus maintenance here in the City Hall area, transfers for equipment and loans that we have. The boilers, this is also includes for boiler replacement in Municipal Center East for this coming fiscal year. And it also includes the Public Works Garage, which you'll hear more about that in the Public Works meeting or budget after this. The rest of Fund 95 is the infrastructure that goes to Public Works, the video gaming, which also goes to infrastructure for Public Works. Those are both codified, and then the bond provide for debt service payments. For this FY26 focus coming forward is we're focusing on the implementation of the new CGI 4.0 system, and we will continue the citywide process of grant management with compliance with OPED, along with our standardized practices and internal control reviews across all agencies. Any question?
Okay, first, thank you very much. First question is from Alderman Rockford.
Yes, I know that in your fleet maintenance garage, when was the last time, was it last year we signed a contract with Napa? Or 2 years ago?
It was last year.
Last year? And what is that, a 3-year, 2-year? 3-year? Does that really save us money? We talked a little bit, Ramona, about that, and, but does that really save us money?
Yes, we are paying, I priced things like different parts, and I have priced it on the internet and at stores versus what Napa is charging, and their price like cost plus 6%, that's what I was gonna say. And it is a good price.
Okay, so from my experience working with the city, and when it came time to have parts for equipment, we never had parts. We had to wait on parts. And we have a parts store in our garage. So I don't understand. It's been a couple of years, but I still hear from the employees of the city about that garage. And why we're not able, and now my understanding is, I don't know if I was getting humbugged by the gentleman that ran the garage that was let go, should have been let go a long time ago.
Amen.
But anyway, you know, it's just, you know, it doesn't sit well when you have a parts store in your garage and it doesn't, you have to wait on parts. So I don't know the savings when we bring this Napa store in, why nobody else is able to bid on it? Is there a bid process for it? Okay. Do people bid on it? O'Reilly's, just talked to a guy yesterday at O'Reilly's. Are they able to bid on it? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Carlson.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Jeff, in your present, did I hear you're at 5.5 vacancies in your shop?
Yes.
I mean, I know we're always concerned about head count, you know. The functions of city government still have to go on, and so 5.5 vacancies, and obviously you guys have taken, I mean, quite a decrease, you know, minus, you're down 23 or 24% from last year, which I think is good, but at the same time, you know, we still need to provide good service, so I'll let you speak to the 5.5 vacancies.
We are in the process. An offer has gone out and an acceptance for one of the positions, so that's with HR right now, so that we will hopefully have a staff accountant soon.
I mean, is a salary issue? I mean, is a turnover, and they come in for a couple of years and leave? I mean, what?
Yes.
All of the above?
All of that. Yeah, they go, the state.
Yeah, it's really
Pay
hard.
more.
We don't have the same salaries to compete.
Yeah, yeah, okay, so that's still the issue, okay.
Yeah, that's where we lose, I mean, that's where we've lost the last 3 that I can think of.
Yeah,
is to the state.
All right, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Purchase.
Thank you, Chair. I just had a few notes for Ms. Ramona. I wanted to ask in my notes, I saw $0 budgeted for FY26 for the Winter Warming Center. Did that funding move somewhere else that I just probably didn't find? And that's on page for you two, on page 135.
That doesn't exist.
We don't have it anymore. It's
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Oh.
tore down in your ward.
Well, I knew that, but I didn't know if, thanks, Roy.
Be very warm.
And then my last one is, I'll just sit down with you because pages 153 through 156, I may not just be understanding it, but it seemed like some of the debt service and interfund transfers are going on there and just want to kind of understand that. That's pages 153 through 156 that I noted. So if you could just, not now, you're not available, but, you know, at a later time.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Next is Alderman Hanauer.
Thank you. I asked you earlier, line 1247, every department has it, and it's for fiscal services and that. It's under shared services. I would like to see us do kind of a study, Mayor, that just because you're sharing services, sometimes it doesn't always save money. And I don't understand why we're if it's shared services and we know we're doing this every year for fiscal services work, why do we even have it in the other budgets? It should just go straight to yours, because it's all coming from corporate anyway, from what I've seen so far. But some of the shared services stuff, I'm not gonna say, there might be some funny business, you know, there, the little bit of, you know, moving money around, and it's a good way, at least, you know, I know Mr. McCarty was good at that, and I think he liked doing that. I just don't like dealing with that. You know, if all this money that's under 1247 goes to you, it should be in your budget and taken out of the individual budgets, in my mind, unless there's some sort of a tax or government reason why we should do that. But I'm not sure I trust all the shared services, just like Alderman Rockford in the garage. You know, that's a shared service, and while you may save a little bit of money here and there, in the long run, if you really do a good study, it's not a savings, you know. So if we could kind of look into some of the other shared services that we do, not just with you guys, but others.
I can explain the 1247 line, which is the shared service line. So the fiscal officers for the departments, they all are part of the budget department and OBM. And when we've had absences of fiscal officers, we've been able to have fiscal officers step in and assist other areas. So having it as a shared service has been a benefit because it seems like we're usually down one fiscal officer at all times. Sometimes we've been down two. And our one senior fiscal officer here, Matt Grani, with Public Works, he's been with Public Works for over 20 years. He has really stepped in and helped OPED and all of the departments. So what that is, it's the salaries and benefits of the fiscal officers. We do have one fiscal officer split right now between the library and Convention and Visitors Bureau, and OPED has a vacancy of their fiscal right now.
So they actually, do they reside? They're with you guys,
but we charge just the salary and fringes. It's just a full transfer so that the department is showing the cost to the department.
But I believe, I was looking at, Public Works is a good example, and let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Their cost is $146,000. I mean, that's a lot of people.
That's salary plus benefits of a senior person.
Okay.
And
Insurance, IMRF.
Insurance and IMRF,
Right.
both were increases this year. That's why you're seeing the personnel lines higher on all of them, because we had the 11% that the employer is covering of the cost of the premiums. And IMRF is also an increase for 26.
Right. All right, thank you.
Oh, and I can also explain the utilities. They have a 1247 line too.
Right.
That is a percentage of HR and payroll based on head count. There is an allocation of the purchasing department. So it's actual, it's an estimate right now, and at the end of the year, we true that up based on the actuals. Go into the actual salaries, we pull everything, and send that for the audit.
CWLP, I can see doing something like that, or because they're kind of their own entity, but where you're taking money from, it's in a sense. At the state, I used to call it funny money, because you were just simply taking it from one department to the other, and you know it. And I know it's electronic.
So with the OPED fiscal officer, they're charged multiple places across funds. So you'll see the shared service not just in one fund, but I can't even remember which ones. They're a CDBG or HUF or TIF. I forget which one, but it's at least it's split. It's allocated.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
And then the library as well. There's in the library, there's the CWLP, there is a security person that is included in that shared service.
Director, aren't
too.
we really talking about, we're not obviously moving money around. It's about where the expenditures occur. One could argue that doing it the way we do it presently is a better way of publicly showing the allocation or expenditure of the dollars. I mean, that's what I've been told in the past. So I appreciate Alderman Hannah's question. You could maybe do some research and get back to us at a different date. That would be wonderful.
Okay, sure.
Thank you.
And they used to be in the department.
Yeah, it did.
And now having once a supervisor or more training, being in part of OBM.
Okay, seeing no further questions, thank you very much. And we're going to move on to Public Works.
CWLP. It was at CWLP. The ones that rob. Yeah, the ones that rob.
And I didn't get to see me.
Yeah, I need a number for you. Oh, gosh, thank you. Anything bordering around more?
No, not really.
I hadn't seen your places, so I needed one of these. They spent extra money on you.
They look well rested.
They probably in this
Well,
new
I was
drawer.
trying to find keys.
You want this?
I was coming to find you, sir.
Yes?
Tootsie Rolls.
I think there are some stuff like that.
You and him gummed up.
I think I'm the last.
I got your son, he got candy.
You guys waiting on me?
All the way downstairs.
Chop, chop. They got plows to get out.
You're out of candy.
Liquid silk.
Director Fuchs, you and your team ready?
We are.
Please proceed. You guys had anything going on lately?
Nate looks well rested.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. It's our pleasure to be here with you. this
Talking to the mic, please.
Oh, sure.
Hold it close, David.
Oh, you got the Tony
Talking to the
voice.
mic. Good evening, Chairman, thank you. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening to members of the City Council. I represent the Office of Public Works, and we're here to make our presentation for this evening. I'm joined by the city's chief engineer, Nate Bottom, the director of Oak Ridge Cemetery, Greg Talley, and our fiscal officer, Matt Girani. If it's possible for a man to have three strong right arms, you're looking at him, because that's what these gentlemen are. They represent the dedicated public servants that are part of Public Works that do so much for each and every one of you and your constituents every single day. And you have seen their performance during this last snow event that we had.
I apologize for interrupting, but I have to have that mic a lot closer, please. Thank you.
Closer.
How's this?
100% better.
Just call me Ken. So, let's proceed. This slide demonstrates the divisions in the Department of Public Works. There are 13 of them, and there will be no changes in our organization. Next is workforce. You see, this past fiscal year, we had 204 employees, and we are asking for the same 204 this year. Fiscal 2026 budget. If you'll take a look at it, there is an increase over last year, and that is primarily accounted for by the grants that we have for the rail improvement project and for the sewers. That would account for the increase in our budget request. This graph demonstrates that permanent improvements constitute 62% of our request,
And under personal services, you see that that represents about 16%. There is an increase there. That's primarily due to the COLAs and to healthcare costs, and I know that's been mentioned here earlier this evening. All right, fiscal year 2026 budget, the corporate fund. You can see that we do have an increase in personal services and in auto equipment. That would be a variance of 2.36%. All of our other lines are basically down. Non-corporate funds. Take a look at permanent improvements. There is an increase there, $32,711,860. Again, that is due to the rail grants. Very fortunate on the rail project. I'd like to review a few of our accomplishments in fiscal year 2025. You'll see under infrastructure improvements, this is our usual course of business. These are a lot of things that we take care of during the summer construction period. 10 miles of overlay, 10 miles of seal coat, 5 miles concrete patching, a mile of brick repairs. Our folks that live on brick streets love them, and we like to take good care of them. 12 miles of micro surfacing, 2 miles of bituminous mastic, 25 miles crack filling, 125,000 square feet of sidewalks, and 150 curb ramps. Some of our accomplishments that I'd like to note this year, the Cook and South Grand underpasses were completed, very big projects. The Madison and Jefferson underpasses were completed, another big project. And God bless us all, the Stanford project from 11th to Fox Bridge. We got through it. Congratulations to everybody on that one. The 8th Street Bridge was reconstructed out by the wastewater treatment plant, and of course the Northeast Sewer Pilot Project, the mains and the manholes, which is under a mandate by the U.S. EPA. A few more of our accomplishments in 2025, operational performances. We had 6,350 service requests. We had over 19,400 Julie tickets processed. Now, this is when we need to call in the Julies. They do utility locates whenever we have a project. We got to make sure we know where the gas lines, the water lines are, so we don't disrupt anything. Let's see, the housing division, we had over 6,900 complaints. Demolitions, this is very close to a lot of us and certainly to a lot of the folks in the neighborhoods. We had 42 demolitions under city contract. We had 90 demolitions under the railroad contract. That's a lot of those were the houses on North Grand Avenue across from Landfair and at 10th and Reservoir. I know we were all very happy to see those down. In fact, I remember being out there one day with you, Alderman Williams, and it was the second time we'd been there because the house was on fire.
Should have burned
Twice
them all.
that day, and it was quite anyway, they're all gone, and
Yes, they
we're
are.
really happy about that. We had 18 demolitions that were performed by our city crews, and 15 that were completed by the owners of the property, and we did have 16 repairs. We've completed 75% of our tree inventory, and of course, we have the Tree City USA in Brokenwood. Community engagement. We're all about the community because we're in the community every day. Under waste and recycling, we had our pumpkin smash, which was a great hit. No pun intended.
It should have been.
We always hold that the Saturday after Halloween. It gives folks a chance to get rid of their pumpkins, their jack-o'-lanterns, with the point being to educate folks on composting because everything that's smashed during the event goes to the compost heap. We have the household hazardous waste drop-off this past October. We had 425 individuals come in and drop off household hazardous waste. It's a very important event because if we didn't pick it up this way, a lot of it would end up in the sewer system. Earth Day, we held the Earth Day event at a new location, Union Square Park. We had over 1,500 attendees. And under the mayor's leadership, we reintroduced the Holiday Planner Contest. We had about 45 entries, and the Springfield Fire Department won the contest. Very creative, very creative.
Nice.
Oak Ridge Cemetery, we had the Sangamon County Historical Cemetery Walk, which is very popular. And we also had the Oak Ridge Foundation Tree Tour. And of course, the mayor's build event. Very successful, very successful. In Oak Ridge Cemetery, I have to say that it is a great honor for me to have the Oak Ridge Cemetery and Mr. Talley as part of our portfolio. It's a burial place of the 16th President of the United States. It's the second most visited cemetery in the United States, and it's in great shape because of Mr. Talley's leadership. 265 burials, and we've got over 224,000 memorial and foundation sales, and over 940,000 in revenue. Yes, running a cemetery is a business. Fiscal year 2006 beautification, some of the things that we're planning on doing. Of course, we're going to plant about 300 trees. People in Springfield love their trees. We all love to sit out under the shade and enjoy a cool breeze. Unfortunately, the derecho took a lot of our trees away, took parts of a lot of our trees away. We want to do everything we can to keep the ones that we have, but it's always important to plant new trees. And we have completed tree inventory. We're also taking a look at downtown next year. The wayfinding signage is going to be very important. We're going to have a lot of folks visiting here, certainly next year, but the year after for the 100th anniversary of Route 66. We're planning a lot of streetscape improvements as well as sidewalk, curb, and gutter improvements downtown because we'll be entertaining a lot of guests. And then at the Old State Capitol, we'll be putting covers over the stairwells that lead to the underground parking, which I think would be a very fine addition to Fiscal 26 goals for design. Design engineering, of course, the 3rd Street Greenway is something that we're all very interested in. Once the rail relocation project is finished and the Union Pacific Railroad vacates the 3rd Street tracks, we're looking to beautify that and turn it into a multi-use trail. It's a great addition to the city, and we're all looking forward to that, and we're working on that as we speak. Cokie Mill Road. The big changes down there. We've got a lot of flooding, and it's a pretty rough stretch along in there. We're beginning land acquisition, and we want to make the changes to make that a much safer and dry. MLK Drive from Clear Lake to South Grand. We're going to do some safety improvements in there. We're going to do road diet, which has been very successful on Walnut, and we suspect that it will be safe there. It will work well there. Lawrence Avenue, we all know that its intersection with MacArthur and Walnut are fairly dangerous intersections, and we do a lot of safety improvements in there. Isles Avenue, West White Oaks to Illinois 4, more safety improvements. 11th in South Grand, we're going to have additional improvements there. Carpenter, at 5th and 6th, we've had outreach in the community. That's an interesting intersection. It's so close to the hospitals, and we do get a lot of folks that like to speed down there.
Car accidents.
Yes, ma'am. And of course, everybody's always interested in the projects with IDOT. We all of us here get a lot of questions. Well, what about this route, that route? And we have to tell folks, well, that's a state route. The city isn't responsible for it. We don't take care of it, but we work very closely with our colleagues at IDOT and communicate the desires of the community, and very interested in all those projects. Fiscal 2026 goals under maintenance, and we've kind of gone through this list once before. 10 miles of overlay, 5 miles seal coat, 5 miles of concrete patching, 1 mile brick repairs, 26 miles of crack filling, 2 miles of mastic patching, 12 miles of micro surfacing and slurry sealing, 125,000 square feet of sidewalks, and about 100 curb ramps. Those are the access cutouts. Major projects for 2026. These are our goals. The North Grand Avenue underpass and the Union Pacific double track work, North Grand Avenue overpass, Adloff Lane road improvements, Wheeler Avenue
I
road
put that in there
improvements.
for you.
He's sitting over here itching his
Wheeler.
Lenhart Road, reconstruction, excuse me. 11th and Ash traffic signal and 11th and Laurel traffic signal.
You're welcome, Alderman Williams.
Fiscal 2026 goals for the sewer division. Sewer infrastructure, of course, we're still working on the Northeast Sewer Pilot lateral rehab. That's part of the project up there. Phase 2 lake sewers, we're looking to connect a number of folks that live out at the lake to the sewer system so they can get off the septic tanks. Forest Park Hills lining, 2nd Street we're going to line, 5th Street, Town Branch to Cook we're going to line. Lining basically means that we're going to take the existing sewer line and rather than dig a big long hole and pull it all up, we're actually going to insert a lining through the existing infrastructure and add life and resilience to an existing asset. It's very cost effective. Looking ahead, I know you have all been to what we like to call the garage. That's where the street department is headquartered out on 17th and Clear Lake. And it is one of the most dilapidated buildings I've ever been in my life. And I'm from Cantrell, and we got a lot of it's time for a new facility for the street and traffic divisions. And we are taking a look at constructing a new facility at Clear Lake, just on the east side of the railroad overpass, with the goal being that we can get all of our equipment under the roof. What that does is it helps our protect our equipment, makes it last longer, makes it easier to start in the morning, especially on these very, very cold mornings. It increases the equipment reliability, extends the useful life, improves employee production and safety, and funding is proposed through bonding. It's not included in this year's budget, but it's something we're very interested in. The next line is something I'd like you all to take a look at. It's the cost-benefit analysis that we have done that demonstrates the savings we will have by extending the life of our equipment. I would hope that you would take a closer look. Questions?
Director, thank you very much for that overview. I will remind my colleagues that, as I did just prior to this meeting, we have infrastructure meetings set up. So if you'd like to get into specific projects in your ward, please meet with the department and see if you can, if it's not in here, see if you can persuade the director to get it in there. That'd probably be a good place to start. And but we certainly don't want to hold back any questions. So on that note, Alderman Rockford.
Okay, gentlemen, I met with you on Monday afternoon, and I see on page 13 your goals, fiscal year 26, but you have widening of Sangamon and Dirksen Parkway. Is that something that the state's gonna?
That's correct. We're partnering with the state in that project. They're looking at adding dual left turn lanes as well as dual right turn lanes.
Talking to the mic, please.
Yeah, we are. IDOT is the lead on the project. We're working with them. We are going to have some cost sharing in the project. They are in the design phase at this time. It's still a few years out. It's in their multi-year program, but it's in the back end. But we are working closely with them. It will improve the capacity of the intersection, adding dual left turn lanes, as well as improving the safety and adding bike and ped accommodations.
Good. And also, you talked about the 8th Street Bridge that was repaired. A lot of complaints from the Camp Sangamo Road. I know that's Springfield Township, but is there any talk, or have you guys talked to them about overlay or repairing that road? It was due, a lot of it was due to our trucks and stuff that were for that construction, for that project, but I don't know, is there any talk of redoing that road at all?
Well, it would be under it is under Springfield Township's jurisdiction, and we will talk to them and maybe have them blade in some county mix and then seal coat it. That's
Yeah.
what we'll recommend to them, and I'll reach out to their
I
township
know,
commissioner.
yeah, I know that it's been patched and, here and there, but, I know that the trucks didn't help the cause. I know that it was a problem road before, but just want to know. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Williams.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you guys. I mean, this was good for me. I mean, 5 projects. I'm really happy. But I just want to mention, IDOT again. Right past Carpenter, 9th Street, going all the way to Peoria Road. I think that should be a part of your discussion with IDOT, even though I see the Dirksons on there and the Stevenson, and I appreciate all those state routes. But I've been told that Peoria Road all that is supposedly a state highway all the way to South Grand, actually. It's just in front of the county building and, it looks good. It looks good until you get past, like I said, Carpenter. It goes down real fast. And it's all through North Grand, all the way out, still going north toward the fairgrounds, till you hit Peoria Road. It's horrible. And it's a state route. They blame us. They always saying it's a city street, but really it's a state street, and I've been told IDOT is responsible for that. I don't imagine they'll let it get too much worse, but it's not on this list, so I wanted to at least mention it, Nate.
Yes, I apologize for it not being on the list. They are planning on just a standard maintenance project for them this upcoming year. And then
Okay.
they are also looking at doing some long-term improvements, but this upcoming year, 2025, they are planning on doing an overlay.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman, sorry. Can I?
Go ahead, Mayor.
I actually, before Secretary Osmond retired, had requested that the overlay or something happen there for the Route 66
Oh, okay.
100-year anniversary.
Oh,
I
yeah.
travel that road every day for work,
So
so believe
good.
me, I know what it's like.
So you
and-
know, yeah.
And IDOT has committed to making it look much better and feel much better for that 100-year anniversary.
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderman Gregory.
Real quickly, I just want to speak on our street sweepers, and I would love to see, once we get all 4 of them, I would love to see us come up with a game plan similar to our tree pickup and stuff, just so we can, hey, get the cars off the streets and, so we can really do a good job. Yeah, regular schedule, if we can. I just want to, take a look at it, see if that can happen. I appreciate, I think that's a good thing for our city, to have those, and especially in some areas that still have gumballs and all of that with our drainage and things of that nature. And just real quickly on our alley and fly dump crews and all of that, I know at times we have to take them off to do trees and things of that nature. I'm not saying that we're going to put this in on personnel-wise, but can we look at that? Because at times, doing tree limbs or leaf bag pickups and things, we may have some dire need situations. I know at times we definitely go to it, but if those groups can just work separately, I would like. I know we at times be in a crunch, in a pinch, but if we can get those crews working separately where we don't got to pull them off for anything, that would be great. But those are my only comments. Thank you.
It's a critical role, the solid waste guys.
Absolutely. Yes.
It's an essential service, and I understand.
Yep. And we bought some new equipment, so I see them out using it. They do a good job. I see them in the alleys. I'll be like, what's that down there? It's them cleaning up some stuff. So we appreciate y'all, and those are just my comments. Hopefully we can figure it out. Thanks, gentlemen.
Thank you, Alderman. Alderwoman Notriano.
Thank you, Chair. So, did you get that MacArthur Boulevard update? No?
No, I've not had a chance to talk to
Okay.
IDOT yet.
That's
Still
okay.
waiting to get the new District 6, the regional engineer.
Okay. Oh, they don't have one right now?
No,
Oh.
Jeff Myers just retired at the end of last year.
Okay, cool.
With the Secretary of Transportation.
Oh, nice. And Fifth Street, by Myrtle to Stanford, is that gonna happen this year?
Yes, they are also, that is being let this year, and they will be reconstructing
Okay.
Spruce to Ash Street.
Oh, okay. Great. Yeah, those were my do you know off the top of your head, the industrial park roads Are those private roads or our roads?
Are you talking about the industrial park out south, like Rogers? Those are our roads.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'll chat with you. Thanks.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderwoman Conley.
Thank you. And I actually just got a question. I was going to hold off since I haven't met with you guys yet for my infrastructure meeting and just hit you later on the budget hearing. But we are continuing with our contract with Habitat for Humanity on the bulky item collection. There's no changes to that.
Yeah, that one is out for bid this year, so
Okay.
the contract is up. Is it April 1 or March 1? It's April 1, so it's out to bid right now, and
But it is going out to bid. It is a contract we plan to fill. Okay, thank you very much. And like I said, I do have, well, yeah, MacArthur. MacArthur. But, yeah, thank you. I'll say, I've got a lot of questions for you for tomorrow.
but we, in regards to MacArthur Boulevard, we will shortly be meeting with IDOT to discuss the drainage here within the next couple weeks. So they are progressing with the design, so I can give you that update.
Thank you.
And then, so what about Lawrence and MacArthur? That was on your list?
That's correct. We're wrapping up design. We submitted the project development report to IDOT, and then they gave us comments back. And our consultant is responding and should be submitting the comments back to them so that we can get project development report approval so that we can move into the land act phase and complete design.
So construction for that's not scheduled for this year, correct?
No, it
That'll
is
be
not
next
for this year.
construction season?
I would love to let it this upcoming, next winter, basically, and hit the ground running next fiscal year.
Okay, and I just ask, I'm gonna steal one of my, my elder sister's lines. A lot of education around that one. We will need outreach on that. People are very concerned. That's a neighborhood that loves their trees. We've kind of talked about that. And I know that you're aware of that. I just want to make sure that as part of that planning, that we get a lot of advance notice. It will impact, I know Ward 5, 5, 6, and 8 all come together right there. And we all have people who are concerned and who are watching that. And obviously, addressing that very dangerous intersection is a very high priority. But we also want to make sure that there's that give and take with the community, and they know what to expect. It may not be what everyone loves, and I understand that. We never make everyone happy. But we need to make sure that they're aware of it, and
I agree, and that's why we took into account those public meetings and we adjusted the design. We asked for a variance from IDOT to minimize the impact to the trees and shorten the tapers up so that we can still improve the safety but minimize the impact to the neighborhood and minimize the amount of trees we had to remove.
thank you. And I appreciate you advocating for our neighborhood and our residents in that way. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Alderwoman. Alderman Gregory?
I just wanted to follow up on the Habitat for Humanity or that service that we'll have. And just on a high level thing, I think at times we may need to clarify, because sometimes I believe that our constituents believe that any and everything can go, and I know they list it out, but and maybe I'm confused, and that's why I'm asking for clarity, but are they looking for items that are good condition and can be donated? Because at times, people are calling for pickups on, old mattresses or things that are not going to be of any use. So is that what we're looking for, the service for people who are, things that can be donated to be set out there 6 at a time?
They certainly would appreciate items that are in good shape, but
Correct.
It's not limited to that.
Okay. I just want to make sure that, okay. All right, thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Alderman. Seeing no further questions, before you gentlemen excuse yourselves, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of everyone at this horseshoe, please pass along, again, a word of thanks to each of the men and women that work and they're out on the streets and in the offices and that do their best to make Springfield a better place. And Public Works is such an integral part of how cities function, and just please know that it is appreciated.
Alderman Donlin, can I say something?
Why not, Mayor?
If you each look in your budget,
numbers at the Oak Ridge Cemetery specific area. I have to compliment Director Talley. He has cut costs and increased revenue at the cemetery, and that is huge.
Yeah, it's significant.
I ain't recognize you. You gotta grow a little beard and stuff. I see you. I see you. I see you. I was wondering who that was.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And,
Thank you.
and before anybody at the Horseshoe gets up, we do have two citizens that have requested an opportunity to speak before the committee this evening. And the first one is Mr. Robert Frazier. If you don't mind, Mr. Frazier, you can use the portable mic here at the table, if that's okay. Might be,
You get to sit down instead of standing.
yeah. Thank you, Director.
Thank you. As the CSA program continues to grow, we have embarked on an initiative of workforce development and hiring the unhoused and the returning back from jail folks and different situations. We've always done that, but we have increased that. And with the support of the city, which we don't know, we're kind of looking through all the different programs, and we don't really see anything or what department handles workforce development as we continue to engage and put the city, put these people to work. So that'd be one question that I have of getting some some direction of what we're doing and how we can get more support to double hold up the CSA program, which is going to increase to over 75,000, maybe 10,000 people per month as we go into this new year. It's on a very fast track, and we're doing well, and we're continuing to look for support, and we definitely need people to work. So we've already started employing some of the unhoused and returning to society, people coming from the prisons and different things like that. So I just wanted to make that comment because as I try to continue to work towards fulfilling our goals of our workforce development, and all of these things coming together, and whatever support that we can get is much appreciated. Thank you.
Mr. Frazier, I would encourage you, we heard a great presentation earlier tonight, and you were kind enough to be here early. I know you heard it as well, but we have our new Director of the Planning and Economic Development, Amy Resing? I say it right? Okay, sorry. She's here in the back of the room. Please raise your hand so you can see her. If you haven't already, please take an opportunity to meet with her, because they talked about the need to make sure that we get money out the door into the neighborhoods and into programs that will help make our community better. So.
We've met with the Fraziers, and we have a program in place and some funds in place. We're working on the application and process.
It sounds like you're well underway.
Yeah,
This is good news to hear. And I know good news for everybody at the Horseshoe to hear, because you've been kind enough to keep us updated on the work that you've done.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, we are definitely working with that. I just like to make sure everybody is aware of what's going on as we continue to work through this process. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
Okay, according to the clerk's office, we have one other person. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Williams.
You took care of it, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you,
We
Mr.
got you. We definitely support that. That's a, yes, we'll talk.
Okay, next, we have signed up Pamela Frazier.
She left.
She had an emergency.
Okay, well, I hope it gets better, so. Okay, on that note, I did want to announce before we all head out that the next budget hearing is next Thursday, January 23rd. We will have up police, fire, the clerk's office, and CWLP. I know you're all anxious about that and can't wait to come back, and everybody have a safe evening. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion a second. All those, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
You're welcome.
Oh, thank you.
Next Thursday.
Information on the next ICON meeting. The second page talks about what ICON's going to focus on this year, and then the last page is something that just came up through the EPA couldn't do ICOM because of the masses. You was with me last time, we was at masses.